question will walk through the accounting for a defined benefit pension plan. At January 1st, 2020, Umbrella Corporation had plan assets of $250,000 and a defined benefit obligation of the same amount based on projected costs. During 2020, the current service cost was $27,500. The discount rate on the DBO and plan assets was 10%. The actual return on plan assets was $30,000. Contributions by Umbrella were $20,000. Benefits paid were $17,500. And the cost of past service benefits granted effective December 31st, 2020 was $29,000. Prepare a pension worksheet for Umbrella Corporation for 2020, assuming that first, Umbrella follows IFRS, and then secondly, that Umbrella follows SB. So let's get started with our pension worksheet. I've set up a template here. So you can see I've got debits are not in brackets and credits are in brackets. I've got my items here where I'm going to list out the transactions. These accounts are in the general ledger of the company, and these are memo accounts over here. So these accounts are actually in the pension plan. They're not in the books of the company. The pension plan is a separate legal entity, but we need to know what's going on in these accounts so we can figure out what our net defined benefit asset and liability is. All right, so the first thing that we want to look for is the opening balance. January 1st, 2020. And if we look at the question here, we can see that the company had plan assets of $250 and a defined benefit obligation of the same amount. So what we want to do is record that $250,000 opening amount. You can see it says at January 1st right here. So we've got $250,000. So plan assets are an asset. So of course it's a debit balance. And the DBO is a liability. So the opening balance of that is going to be $250,000 credit. Next, we've got a current service cost of $27,500 here. So let's record that. So we're going to record current service cost. So how are we going to record this $27,500? Well, it's going to be a debit to our pension expense. It's going to increase the company's pension expense, and it's also going to increase the DBO as a credit. So if we think about what current service cost is, this is reflecting the fact that the employees are continuing to work or have worked over the year. So meaning that they've increased the value of their future pensions. So their service during the year has increased their future benefit of the pension by $27,500. So the company is going to record that as an expense, and it's also going to increase the value of the deferred benefit obligation or the future value of payouts under the plan in the plan entity itself. Okay, then we've got, the next one we've got is the discount rate on the DBO and plan assets was 10%. So this part is probably one of the more complicated parts of accounting for pension plans. So we need to figure out the difference between the expected return on plan assets and the interest cost on the DBO. So plan assets, if you think about it this way, there's $250,000 sitting in a bank account or maybe in a GIC or maybe in some investments, but regardless, there's assets that are earning a return. And so we're expecting the plan assets to earn 10%. And this calculation here is going to be $250,000, which is the balance of the plan, times 10%. Now, one of the things that we've seen in a prior question is that we really need to look at the contributions information that's provided. And here we're just told that the contributions that were provided were $20,000. It doesn't say that they were provided evenly throughout the year, nor does it say that they were provided at the beginning of the year. So we assume that they're provided at the end of the year, meaning that that weighted average balance of plan assets was $250,000 for the whole year, except for the very end when the contributions came in, meaning that we'll use the $250,000 balance. We have seen a question where it said that the contributions were made evenly throughout the year. So when we calculated our expected return on plan assets, we needed to not only take into account the $250,000, but we also needed to take into account 50% of the contributions number that was provided, because we would have earned interest on that amount throughout the year as well. But in this case, it's pretty easy. We've just got 250,000 times 10%, which is going to be 25,000. And so this is going to decrease our pension expense, meaning that the company can have a lower expense because the return on the plan assets are offsetting some of the costs of the defined benefit obligation. And so this is also going to debit the plan asset balance because the plan assets are now worth $25,000 more. We also have the interest cost on the DBO. And what this is the defined benefit obligation, which is the present value of the future payments under the pension plan, is calculated using the time value of money. So every year, the payout under the plan that this defined benefit obligation represents, which is of course a variety of payouts because it reflects a variety of employees and they'll all retire at different times. But regardless, that whole cycle of payments is getting closer and closer, meaning that we need to increase the value of the DBO every period to reflect the fact that the proximity of the DBO increases in value. So this calculation is going to be 250,000, which is the DBO, not the plan assets. They just happen to be the same amount, times 10%. So of course, that's also 25,000 because these two amounts are exactly the same. Now, what's the journal entry for the interest cost on the DBO? Well, the journal entry is going to be to increase our pension expense of the company and also to increase the DBO. And of course, it's a credit balance, so to increase it, we credit it. So what you can see is that in the pension plan itself, the DBO and the plan assets are on different lines, but from a pension expense perspective for the company, these two amounts from a net perspective offset to zero, which makes perfect sense because we're expecting the same discount rate, which is normal, and the plan asset and the DBO balance is exactly the same. Next, we're told that the actual return on plan assets was $30,000. So what do we do with that? So we thought we were going to earn $25,000 on plan assets, but we actually earned $30,000. So we have a $5,000 gain. So where would we record that gain? Seems reasonable to include it in the pension expense column because of the fact that this is where we included the expected return on plan assets. But under IFRS, it's really important to recognize that a remeasurement gain is recorded in OCI. And OCI is a credit balance if you think about shareholders' equity. So to increase it, we're going to credit it and we are going to debit our plan assets because they're worth $5,000 more than we expected. So now we've got that $30,000 reflected that our plan assets have grown by that much. And we've increased now, we've got that extra remeasurement gain going through OCI as a positive amount of credit. Next, we're told that the contributions by umbrella were $20,000. So how do we record employer contributions? Employer contributions. What is the number? 20,000. Okay. So employer contributions are going to debit cash or credit cash, sorry. We're decreasing our cash balance and we're going to increase the balance of the plan assets. Sorry, it was 20,000. So the company is taking cash from the company and putting it into the assets of the plan. So they've just added it to this cash account, if you think of it that way, for plan assets. So that's how the employer contributions work. Benefits paid were $17,500. Okay, so benefits paid. Okay, so what happens with benefits paid? Well, it doesn't go through the cash of the company because the benefits are paid out by the plan. So we're going to pay out benefits of $17,500. So we are going to decrease the value of the plan assets by $17,500 because it's going to come out of the plan's cash account. And we're also going to decrease the DBO. And to decrease it, we debit it because it's a credit balance. So that's how the benefits paid work. So we've decreased the assets of the plan. We've had to give someone $17,500. Now we have less. We don't have to pay out that $17,500 in the future. So we're going to decrease our DBO. And lastly, we've got the cost of past service benefits granted December 31st, 2020 was $29,000. So what this means is that we've made some sort of an amendment to our plan and we've granted past service benefits. So we've somehow increased the value of past service cost. So what happens with past service cost? Well, past service cost adjustments are required to be recorded directly in net income under both IFRS and ASPE. So this is going to debit our pension expense. So it's going to go through our expense. It's not going to go through OCI. And it's going to, of course, increase our defined benefit obligation because now we've said we're going to pay out an extra $29,000 of benefits that we hadn't expected before. So let's now total up each of these accounts and see what we've got in our accounts for the year. Okay. So we've got a credit balance of $5,000 in OCI, pension expense of $56,500. We've decreased our cash by $20,000, and we've got deferred benefit obligation in the plan of $314,000 and plan assets of $282,000. So now, is this plan underfunded or does it have a surplus? Well, we know we have assets of $282,500, but we have to pay out future obligations under this pension plan of $314,000. So the plan is underfunded, and that's what the company needs to recognize on their statement of financial position. So it's the difference between these two things. So we have a credit balance, a liability balance on our statement of financial position of the company of $31,500. Okay, so now we've finished part one. We finished IFRS. Now, what would happen if Umbrella Corporation was not recording their pension plan under IFRS, but rather recording it under ASPE? Well, under ASPE, the only difference is that OCI doesn't exist. So what happens to this $5,000 of remeasurement gain that we had going through OCI? This amount simply would go through pension expense. We would clear out OCI. OCI wouldn't exist. So therefore, our pension expense would be $51,500, and all of the other accounts would be the same. And that concludes part two.